Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick, and today, guys, we're going to be jumping down into the world of Cardano. There's been a lot of noise circulating the space around Cardano, so I thought I'd just do a video here to kind of clean up a lot of that noise in the space, so you can be more informed rather than, less informed, as per some influencers. So as I get into this, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. If you haven't yet joined us in Discord, links in the description down below. Fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free, and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there, so why not check it out today? If you're looking for a little bit more from the crypto space, whether that's bear market strategies, project reviews, or just looking for a little bit of trading, why not check out the Patreon services in the description down below. Okay, let's get into this, right? So Cardano has been in the crosshairs again. It usually is, and there's lots of noise in the space for Cardano, and ultimately a lot of it is unprecedented. It's not really there's no need for it, other than the fact that maybe some influencers are trying to distract you from other concerns on other projects that maybe they've been showing. I don't know. We can speculate till the cows come home on to why that is, but essentially I'm going to clean up some of the noise I've been hearing, so you can be a little bit more informed with Cardano anyway, and whatever these other people want to talk about, them just leave them to it. But let's get into this, right? So, and to start with, we'll obviously talk about Cardano ADA. Essentially, yes, it's pushed up with the rest of the kind of crypto space, and it has pulled back down exactly the same as the rest of the crypto space. Cardano has not performed irregularly or differently than any other cryptocurrency asset in the last few weeks. There's nothing unusual about the moves that have been made here for Cardano. It makes it no less than any other cryptocurrency project. Okay, it's following exactly the same paths as many other altcoins. So we are still talking about the accumulation zones. These are 68 to 75. That hasn't changed, and we are likely to probably see the lower end of this relatively soon. If this pattern is a giant A wave, we should look for a bounce, and then we should look for 68 relatively soon, and what a fantastic opportunity that is. But the first thing I really want to talk about, guys, outside of just price action, is going to have to be one of the kind of key things in the space, right? Which is the one that's been around, the FUD that's been around for a very long time, and that is it's a ghost chain. Cardano is such a ghost chain. There is nothing built on Cardano. There's absolutely no dApps whatsoever, right? So we have to understand that Cardano is a ghost chain, and there is nothing there. There's no reason to be building on Cardano. It's got no community behind it. It's a complete ghost chain. Obviously, I'm showing you the everything here that is building on Cardano. There is a lot on this ghost chain. Okay, this is one really bad ghost chain, because if it's a ghost chain, then they're doing a really bad job at that. But essentially, we've got liquidity, we've got wallets, we've got DeFi, we've got marketplaces, we've got infrastructure, launch pads, metaverses, gaming, social, lending, stable coins, oracles, identity, payments, data, gambling, which I don't believe in. I don't like that section, but there you go. Community. Even got shit coins. I mean, come on, right? So I think for the most part, you've kind of got to acknowledge that it's not a ghost chain, okay? So the first thing we need to kind of put to bed at this stage, considering we're in 2022, it is not a ghost chain. There is nothing about Cardano that would make it a ghost chain, and we can go on and on and on about many other stats about Cardano and why Cardano is, essentially actually, doing reasonably well. And I think it's important that we kind of review not just the ecosystem as a whole, but, everything else that goes on in the background and what kind of makes Cardano, so potentially lucrative in the future. Okay, and I know that obviously gets a lot of people's backs up. They want to buy into something that is successful today. However, when you do that, you have to understand that from an investment point of view, if it's successful today, the gains that you're going to see from that are limited. Okay, there's still going to be gains there, but they are going to be limited in their nature. This is like buying Apple stock before Apple had made the iPhone. It's like buying Amazon stock before Amazon went mainstream, right? And everyone was laughing at Amazon for being an online book retailer. Okay, this is where I place Cardano. It is basically getting ahead of the curve. This is not like Ethereum, for example, where I would say Ethereum was more like BlackBerry, unable to, develop with the times and eventually becomes obsolete. And that's really where I put Ethereum. I think over time, Ethereum is going to be, yes, first to market, but won't be around long term. I mean, they'll probably always be around, but you kind of get the gist here. It's going to be significantly lower. Just think about the dot-com era. Think about essentially who was at the top of the game with first mover advantage and where are they now. Vastly different landscape. Times change and you have to learn to adapt with it. So just keep that in mind. There'll still be projects that are new that will come out that may even take market share away from Cardano in the future as well, right? These are all possible scenarios. We have to understand that this is a growing ecosystem, it's thriving. There's a lot of new innovative solutions out there, and there's also a lot of shit and lots of scams. We have to be aware of that as well. Okay, so I think it's important that we acknowledge that no, Cardano is not a ghost chain. It has a lot building on it, and it has a very bright future. And we have the ability to get ahead of the curve. Okay, in the future, down the line in the next cycle or whatever, essentially, where do we think Cardano is going to be? It's going to be significantly higher, in my opinion. But let's take a look at the next piece of nonsense that we kind of hear a little bit about, and that would be it hasn't even got a DEX. Well, that's not necessarily true, is it now? So we got Maladex, we've got ADAX, for example, but we've even got MinSwap, right? They are live. Sunday Swap, they are there. Their DEX is on Cardano. I don't know how you can not know this, specifically if you're an influencer in the space. It's just disappointing that you haven't done your research at that point, to be honest with you. But nonetheless, there are DEXs on Cardano, and it's bad that I even have to say this for a video, but there you go. So the second thing that we just really want to kind of clear up out of the way, yes, there are decentralized exchanges on Cardano. Yes, they are operational. And yeah, there's no other way I can say that. They're there. Check them out. They're cool. All right, let's move on to the next one, right? So the next one. This is a common one, actually. It kind of comes up a fair amount, and this happens to be, Cardano doesn't have smart contracts. Wowza. Well, yeah, okay. So smart contracts, they came out quite some time ago, but yeah, will Cardano's smart contracts ever become as popular as Ethereum? So that's kind of the Yahoo Finance article here. So, I mean, Yahoo have done their research. They know that there's smart contracts. I mean, a simple Google search will tell you that there are smart contracts on Cardano. I think really, though, the confusion comes from this area of how to utilize the smart contracts. That's vastly different. That's a different scenario altogether. We're talking about the Plutus application backend that standardizes the smart contracts, that makes it basically very, very simple to write a smart contract. Whereas, if you just look at smart contracts in isolation, they are incredibly difficult. You're going to have to code them from scratch. There's going to be a lot of parts that you cannot standardize and all that kind of stuff. And it's a lot of upfront work for developers. So yes, smart contracts are around. They are on Cardano. Are they easy to implement? No, but then, Solana, or maybe not Solana. Let's talk about Ethereum, right? Ethereum with Solidity, for example, right? It's a language that at the very beginning had a big learning curve to it. And, at the same time, has a lot of issues with Solana, there's issues with Solana, but with Solidity, right? So when it comes to Solidity, essentially, yes, there's a lot more developers now after years and years and years of understanding how to code on there, that you can write a code on Solidity very, very quickly. However, that code that you do write with Solidity is not very secure, and it costs people billions of dollars, in poorly written code, hacks and whatnot, right? So understand that Cardano is different. It's a different language, and actually it's easier to write secure code than insecure code, which is the opposite of what you get with something like Ethereum. So will they become as popular as Ethereum? I believe in time they will. I think there's an interesting stat here. Yeah, so at the end of 2021, there were 929 smart contract scripts out there. So interesting kind of stats to kind of be had there. But yes, smart contracts are on Cardano. There are a lot of smart contracts on Cardano. So yeah, I'll leave that there, I guess. There's not much more I can say about it. It's simply just, in my opinion, bad bad research, I guess, and people just not wanting to kind of acknowledge these things. Or alternatively, even worse than that, there are influencers that are trying to distract you from Cardano, maybe to kind of point the finger at something like Cardano to maybe cover up other issues on other blockchains that maybe they talk about really positively. I don't know. I don't know the reasoning behind it, but I'm just going to chalk it up as bad research at this point, okay? But I mean, at this point in 2022, we should be pretty comfortable with, yes, there are smart contracts on Cardano, and yes, there's decentralized exchanges on Cardano, and yes, it's not a ghost chain. These are three fundamental basics by 2022 that we should all be familiar with. Lots of shit in this space, I have to say, specifically with tribalism, as Chris talks about quite a bit. But obviously, we can talk about a little bit more positivity, right? So despite all the noise and despite all the crap in the space, we can, of course, acknowledge that there's a lot of really good things coming, right? So Hydra, the layer 2 scalability solution. And this actually is an article that goes back to September of 2021. And, you know, I don't think that it's come out yet. I know there was a lot of talk in March, you know, about it kind of being launched and all that kind of stuff from a scalability solution. Now, there's a lot of issues when it comes to scalability and throughput specifically on Cardano, but that's getting better as they kind of increase the block size, looking at side chains and all that kind of good stuff as well. But what you get with Hydra is something vastly different to many other blockchains. Essentially, if there's a node, which there are a significant number of them out there, okay, just take a look at the number of stake pools, for example, right? They would basically be able to sign transactions. This is a pretty standard process that pretty much any node on any blockchain would get, right? They basically sign transactions, confirm them, and then basically they earn block rewards for that, or rewards for that in the case of Cardano. Now, with Hydra, that ability to sign transactions increases. It increases up to 1,000 transactions per second per node. So essentially, the scalability solution is absolutely massive. But the smart thing about this Hydra solution is it actually increases depending on the requirement. Okay, so say another head only pops up, which is why they've called it Hydra, when it is required. So it's a dynamic, scalable solution, right? So when it comes to things like Hydra, it's important that we understand that yes, there's that theoretical 1 million transactions per second if you had 1,000 nodes doing 1,000 transactions per second and whatnot. But it actually goes much deeper than that. It goes to the point where you could have only 100 transactions per second, because that's all that is required. You don't need to have the additional throughput. But the second that the demand kicks in, the additional heads on the Hydra solution pop up, the additional throughput becomes available, and all of a sudden, maybe you're moving at 500 transactions per second per node, or maybe you're losing at 700 transactions per second per node. So the solution for Hydra is something that's been in the making for a very long time. I haven't caught up most recently in April to see whether or not this has got a date assigned with it yet. But essentially, what we are looking at here is a solution that is going to vastly improve the Cardano ecosystem, and is an absolute game changer for pretty much most DeFi projects and artificial intelligence based projects, and pretty much most things that kind of get bottlenecked, right? So this is absolutely massive, and you're going to see significant increases on the back of this, I do believe. And I mean an increase in the ecosystem, the adoption of the actual technology. And because you have such a significant demand that will come alongside this particular upgrade, we are also likely to see very significant price increases that comes with that demand. So essentially, when we loop all the way back down to the price action of the charts, we are, of course, talking about very, very significant increases. So I would be very surprised if we don't see, Cardano really pushing those higher levels. Now, of course, something that Chris has been talking about a lot recently is to see what the institutions are doing, what is actually going on in terms of who's buying what. And the institutions definitely have been turning their heads towards Cardano. Again, you're looking at future gains, not what's gaining now. We're thinking about what's going to be popping next. And that is pretty much where a lot of people are now focusing in on Cardano. There's also shortages of supply on Binance, which is why they're introducing very lucrative lockup periods. They don't want that ADA leaving the exchange. So significant shrinkage of supply, significant increase in demand. We are going to see a significant push with the price discovery. Those are the only two metrics that actually matter. And I guess the last piece of FUD that you often hear out there, and necessarily FUD, it's just nonsense really, is that you can't have a market cap of you know, X, Y, and Z. We saw this a lot when it actually pushed a pretty significant market cap. Essentially, market cap is nothing more than a simple calculation of the last sold price of ADA multiplied by the circulating supply. So it has absolutely nothing to do with the amount of money that goes into a project. It has absolutely nothing to do with the liquidity of a project. It only has everything. It has absolutely everything to do with the price of ADA. So market cap is not a barrier to price discovery. The only thing that is really, or there's two things that really are concerns for price discovery or price crashes, and that is supply and demand. As the supply dwindles down and the demand increases, the price goes up. If, of course, the supply increases and the demand decreases, the price goes down. It is as simple as that. Supply and demand. Guys, I'm going to leave this video right there. Hopefully this has cleaned up a lot of the shit in the space, and maybe it makes you think a little bit differently about Cardano. Check out these links to these articles in the description down below. Do some more solid research on Cardano, because this is going to be potentially setting you up for success in the future. If you found this useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you'll be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all this said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.